Over the past decade, we've seen a renaissance in terms of automotive performance in the Philippines. And we're not talking about hot hatches, rally reps, muscle cars, or even two-door sports cars. No, we're talking about crossovers. And one of the earliest proponents of this formula was MG with its GS Turbo, which it followed up with the ZS Trophy, which was basically a baby hot hatch on stilts. Which leads us to this, the MG ZS Hybrid Plus, which is the most powerful ZS that MG has ever put out. But is it any fun to drive? Let's find out. Unlike the previous ZS, which had a bunch of 1.5-liter naturally aspirated engines topped by a 1.3-liter turbo, the new ZS still has naturally aspirated 1.5s topped by a more powerful 170 horsepower 1.5 turbo topped by this, the Hybrid Plus, which has a measly 100 horsepower out of its 1.5-liter engine. But that engine is mostly a generator. Most of your power comes out of the electric traction motor, which has 134 horsepower, which doesn't sound like much, but then consider this has a 3-speed hybrid transmission, which allows the gasoline motor to provide extra push when you need it, giving you up to 228 horsepower, which is a lot for a car this small. Now that translates to 0 to 100 km/h in just 7.6 seconds. Rather traction limited, since this is only wearing GT Comfort 225 tires, not more aggressive rubber, well, not the more aggressive rubber you'd expect given this much performance. Because when you stick the pedal to the metal, this thing really goes. Now the purpose of a hybrid is to save you fuel, which saves you money. In terms of fuel savings, we've seen something around 20 kilometers a liter in mixed driving out of this thing. Perhaps not quite as impressive as some of Toyota's hybrids, but then again, this is a very fresh car. It only has 200 kilometers on the odometer, and once the engine breaks in more, we might see better fuel economy out of it. Now in traffic with heavy aircon use, again, fresh unit, no tint, under hot weather, we've seen the fuel economy dip into the 8s and 9s, which is understandable because, again, this is a gasoline-powered vehicle, not a plug-in hybrid, but a gasoline-powered hybrid with 228 horsepower. So for something with that much performance, that's pretty acceptable. When you go out for a spirited drive, the MG ZS impresses with its good balance of comfort and sportiness. It doesn't wallow around, it sticks to the road pretty well, but it doesn't rattle your teeth out over humps or bumps. This has some pretty decent suspension. I wish the steering were a little bit more firm. It does firm up at higher speeds, but it's that sort of artificial sportiness that you get with these electric power steering systems. It's very direct, it's very precise, but it feels a bit too light, too PlayStation-ish. Now throttle back, drive like a normal person, and the ZS impresses as a daily driver. The steering is good, as said, the brakes are good, and the accelerator pedal, for all the power that you get underneath, never feels twitchy or hyperactive. It gives you progressively more power as you push down, even in sport mode. Flip back to eco mode and it dulls the response a bit just to get that little bit more fuel economy out of your drive. Now this being a modern car, it has all the level 2 driver assist that you expect. You've got adaptive cruise control, which keeps you a set distance from the traffic in front, and lane keeping assist. Only this lane keeping assist system is one of the best we've tried. It can almost drive for you through those highway sweepers. It won't allow you to keep your hands off the wheel for too long, but it can follow relatively tight curves with ease. Aside from that, of course, you get the 360-degree cameras. Only no 3D display, sorry, just the regular top-down or front, rear, or side displays. And of course, you have the infotainment system with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The sound is pretty good. It's a 6-speaker system. It's not the best we've ever heard, but it's perfect for what you might need it for. Now this sleek and slinky shape is wrapped in what MG calls emerald metallic green, but which they really should call British racing green because this is a British car with all that connotes. It's very traditional, very British. So even though it is sleek and sporty looking, it doesn't have weird pop-up door handles or bits of silver with texture on it. Instead, this is what you would consider a traditional looking crossover. Again, sleek, slinky, sporty, but very traditional. And it's a little bit bigger than the previous car, maybe 100 millimeters longer. So even though it's got the biggest wheels we've seen on a ZS yet, these nice two-tone 18-inchers, they look a size too small for the car. But then again, I'd rather have a good balance of performance and comfort than look great and rattle my teeth out over every small bump on the road. Out back, the ZS has a very BMW-ish vibe with these taillights and the shape, but still reminds you, it is British. Now, this is the Hybrid Plus, so there is no exposed tailpipe. It is there, but underneath a lot of plastic cladding. We do wish that the plastic cladding itself had more character, maybe a diffuser, more dimensionality, because there's not much down there for it to cover, so they could carve it out a little bit more. Instead, it looks a little bit flat. Otherwise, this is a good-looking car overall, and that's just a minor sin that most people won't notice anyway. Now, in terms of interior space, you've got good elbow room. In fact, you can really spread out. Great headroom. You've got good leg room. And may I just say that even at the lowest point, the driver's seat gives you a commanding view of your surroundings. This greenhouse is phenomenal and visibility is great. This would be a great car for learning drivers. Even the shortest ones will be able to see everything on the road. This being a subcompact, you have to temper your expectations in terms of interior space. That said, I can cross my legs when sitting behind myself, and even with a taller driver, I'll have enough knee room to just be comfortable on medium and long road trips. Elbow room is good for 2 people, so for 3 people. If you do have a center passenger, that center console is so narrow that they'll be blocking both aircon vents with one knee. And there's no center armrest. A fold-down center armrest that narrow would just be an insult. Headroom though, that is not insulting. That is great headroom for a subcompact car. And the only complaint I could have here is I do wish we had the seats reclinable. There's a big tonneau cover behind us protecting the cargo bay, which means that this recline is all you get. Let's see what's under that cover. To save on cost and weight, the MG ZS doesn't have an automatic tailgate, but this being a subcompact, that's light enough that you don't need it. Underneath the tonneau cover, you have 443 liters of space and a little bit more space on top of the tonneau cover, this being sturdy enough to carry moderately heavy groceries. Just don't carry bowling balls on top of it. Underneath the flat floor, behind this perfectly positioned lip, you have a secondary floor that you can lower the panel into. This gives you more space for more stuff. Now, technically, you could fit a full-size spare under the upper floor or a safety spare under the lower floor, but the space is taken up by the car battery, which doesn't fit up front with all the hybrid hardware in there. Now, instead of a spare, you do get a fix-a-flat, but if you really need to, you could maybe move the battery around and get a safety spare in there. If you need more space, you can fold down the rear seats, but they will only be in line with the upper floor because that battery pack is taking up the space between the seats and the trunk. Unfortunately, you can't move that one. In the end, the MG ZS Hybrid Plus is one of the most exciting subcompact crossovers out there. Of course, it does have competition with the Geely Coolray and the GAC M Zoom, but those are both turbocharged cars. So while they give you the thrills, they also give you the gas bills. This one, instead of a turbocharger, has a hybrid system attached to its 1.5-liter motor that gives you the thrills without the bills and leaves you smiling all the way to the bank.